The heat in Atlanta didn't just settle on your skin, it soaked through, clung to your spine, and sat heavy on your shoulders. Jenny had grown used to it, the same way she'd grown used to living tired. It was summer, 2004. She was running off 3 hours of sleep and gas station coffee, walking home in scrubs soaked in sweat and antiseptic. Grady Memorial Hospital never slept. The halls buzzed with the shuffle of gurneys, quiet beeping from heart monitors, and the slow weight of stories that wouldn't end well. Jenny worked nights as a nurse's aide. It didn't pay much, but it paid. Rent didn't care about her. Exhaustion and her baby brother's college dreams weren't going to fund themselves. It was after one of those shifts, 12 hours on her feet, a stretch of silence on the bus home, that she met Darnell. He was leaning against a brick wall outside the shipping yard by the train tracks, drinking from a sweaty bottle of grape soda, counting the minutes till his next patrol. She almost passed him without looking. "Almost, ma'am," he said, tipping an invisible hat. "You look like you wrestled a bear and won." Jenny stopped, narrowed her eyes. "That's your version of a compliment." "Absolutely," he grinned. "Bear didn't stand a chance." She snorted, caught off guard, and kept walking. The next day, he was there again, and the next. Same wall, same bottle of soda, same dumb smile. They started talking during those early mornings. Jenny would sit on the steps outside her building with a bag of chips he brought, and Darnell would listen like he had all the time in the world. He made her laugh when she had nothing left. He didn't ask for much, just space beside her and stories to pass the time. "I'm gonna open my own security firm one day," he said once, staring at a crack in the sidewalk. "Real business, Darnell and Sons. Except I don't got sons. Yet you better put some respect on your imaginary children's names." She smirked. They had nothing, but they had each other. The kind of bond you form in survival mode. No glitz, just grit. Jenny liked that he talked big but worked hard. He respected her grind, never mocked it. When she handed her paycheck over to cover her brother's tuition, he didn't ask why. He said, "Betty makes you proud." They didn't do dates. There was no money for steak dinners or long weekends. But Darnell would leave notes in her locker at the hospital. He once bought her a second-hand blanket because she'd said the nights in her place got cold. When he found out she liked old soul records, he made her a mix CD labeled love songs, mostly clean versions. In the winter of 2007, Darnell got laid off, cutbacks. Jenny picked up extra shifts to make up the difference. When he started talking about enrolling in community college, she didn't flinch, took out a loan in her name, paid for his books. He cried the day they arrived in the mail. She pretended not to see it. They fought, of course, about money, exhaustion, his mother moving in for a few weeks that turned into almost a year. But even on the worst days, Darnell cooked her breakfast after night shifts and made her laugh when everything felt like it was caving in. "Why do you stay with me?" he asked once, during one of those long, restless nights. Jenny didn't hesitate. "Because we're a team. That's what love is." He held her hand like he believed it. They got married on a Thursday in 2008, Fulton County Courthouse. Her brother wore a tie that didn't match his shirt. Darnell's mother kept asking if there was going to be cake. There wasn't, but there was laughter, and a Polaroid someone took of them on the courthouse steps. Darnell kissing her forehead while she rolled her eyes. After the vows, the judge mentioned Darnell cracked a joke. "What? In case we hit the lotto." And Jenny smiled, but the thought stuck with her. Later that night, she brought it up, not with suspicion, but with clarity. "I know how people change with money. I seen it. If anything ever happens, if one of us comes into something big, I want to know we're protected. I want it in writing. Not 'cause I think you'll leave me, but if you ever do." Darnell didn't argue. Her brother drew it up. A simple handwritten document, 2 pages. It stated clearly that if Darnell came into significant money during the marriage, through lottery, inheritance, whatever, and they divorced, Jenny would receive all of it. "I'd never leave you," Darnell said when he signed. "But if I did, you'd deserve everything." She believed him. He believed himself. 2 years passed. Life didn't get easier, but it got more manageable. Darnell finished school and got a job as a manager at a warehouse. Jenny kept working nights but started braiding hair on weekends for extra income. Her little brother graduated college, the first in the family to do it. They celebrated with fast food and cheap wine, but it felt like a feast. There were still setbacks. Darnell's son needed help buying a car. His mother's health declined again. Jenny handled it. Jenny always handled it. She rarely asked for anything, a nap, a quiet meal, an afternoon without someone else's crisis. But by the time she hit 41, the weight of years had settled deep in her bones. Some mornings she woke up and stared at the ceiling, wondering what it would feel like to be cared for with the same energy she gave away. Still, she pushed those thoughts aside. They were a team, that was love. She never saw the moment coming, the one that would change everything. It was a Wednesday, hot as hell. Jenny was halfway through a double shift, juggling medication charts and a combative patient with a broken hip. Her phone buzzed in her pocket all afternoon. When she finally got home, Darnell was waiting at the kitchen table, waving a ticket in the air like it was on fire. "Baby, we made it." "What?" She blinked. He shoved the lottery ticket into her hands. 8 million, cash option, $8 million. She froze. "You're messing with me." "I'm not. I swear to God, Jenny, it's real. We're rich." She dropped into a chair. Her knees didn't work. Darnell kept laughing, kissing her forehead, pacing the room like a man who couldn't sit still. They claimed the prize the next day, smiling for pictures they'd never print. He held her hand in the car and kept repeating, "We did it. Finally did it." Jenny called her brother, her best friend, told them it was finally happening. Freedom, peace, a home of their own. She started window shopping online. Houses with big porches, dresses that didn't come from clearance bins, dreams blooming like spring after too long a winter. And yet, even in that moment of joy, something in Darnell's eyes had already shifted. Something Jenny didn't have words for. Not yet. Days after the lottery win blurred into something that didn't feel real. Jenny kept expecting someone to show up at their door and say it was all a mistake. But the numbers checked out. The account balance confirmed it. $8 million. They took the lump sum payout after taxes, still enough to rewrite their lives. For the first time since her father died, Jenny felt like she could exhale. They talked about everything, paying off debts, buying a small home outside the city, maybe taking a trip somewhere quiet. Jenny mentioned going back to school. Darnell joked about a boat, even though he couldn't swim. They were still laughing then, still planning. But money, it turns out, doesn't erase pressure, it magnifies it. The first sign came fast. Darnell quit his job. They hadn't even met with a financial advisor. Jenny found out when she woke up one morning and saw him still in bed, arms behind his head like a teenager on summer break. "You didn't go in?" she asked, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Nah," he said, yawning. "What for? We don't need it. Don't need the job. We're millionaires." "Jen." She sat down on the edge of the bed, staring at him. "You loved that job. You said it gave you purpose." He shrugged. "Purpose is overrated. You want me to be stressed out for no reason when I could be sleeping in and spending time with you." It was hard to argue with that at first, but something about the way he said it, like purpose was a chore, stuck in her. They bought the house 3 weeks later, a 4-bedroom just outside the city. Nothing too flashy, but with enough space for guests, a real kitchen, and a back porch Jenny could already see herself gardening on. She filled it with soft colors, second-hand furniture. She refinished herself, curtains that made the light hit different in the mornings. Darnell, on the other hand, filled the garage with a new Mercedes and 3 other leased cars. He brought home speakers that shook the walls, sneakers he never wore, watches he never took out of the box. "You don't need all that," Jenny said one night, watching him unbox another pair of designer shoes. "It's my money too," he snapped. "I didn't say it wasn't. You're always counting. Just relax. Let me enjoy this." She wanted to. God, she wanted to. But the spending scared her. The calls started soon after. Cousins Darnell hadn't spoken to in years. Guys from the neighborhood who remembered when he used to bum rides to work. Women Jenny had never heard of, whose names didn't sit right. "You're being paranoid," Darnell said when she questioned a text from Tasha. "She's just someone from back in the day." Jenny didn't push. Not yet. Instead, she kept working. She didn't need the job anymore, but she couldn't let it go, not when it gave her structure. Her hours were shorter, and she stopped taking night shifts, but she showed up every week, checking in on the patients who still asked for her by name. When co-workers asked why she still clocked in, she smiled and said, "Some habits are hard to break." But the truth was simpler. It was the only place she still felt like herself. Over the next few months, Darnell shifted further away. He started taking weekend trips to Miami, Vegas, places he used to talk about, but now just disappeared to, posting pictures of himself in rented Lamborghinis with captions like "grinding for this. Don't ask for what you didn't help build." Jenny didn't like what he was becoming, not because he was living big, but because he was starting to forget where he came from, where they came from. One night, she sat him down at the kitchen table, the one piece of furniture she'd insisted on keeping from their old apartment. "Darnell, we need to talk." He barely looked up from his phone. "I think we should pay off everything first. The debts, your mum's medical bills, your son's car, all of it. Then put a chunk aside. Think long term. Investments, retirement. Maybe even donate to the hospital they helped us when we needed it." He chuckled, eyes still glued to the screen. "Why are you talking like we're still broke?" "Because I remember what broke felt like. And because this kind of money, it runs out." He finally looked at her. "You know what your problem is?" Jenny blinked. "I have a problem. You don't know how to live. All you do is worry." She stood slowly, hands shaking. "I'm trying to protect what we built." "No," he said. "You're trying to control me." That night, he didn't come home. It was a slow unraveling after that. Darnell started sleeping in other places. Friends, condos, hotel suites. He stopped answering Jenny's calls. When he came home, it was only to grab clothes or shower. His mother, who once called Jenny the only real one, now shrugged when Jenny asked for help. "Let the man breathe," she said. "He earned this." Even his son stopped visiting. Jenny messaged him once, a birthday wish. He left it. On read. The final blow came on a Thursday. Jenny had just finished reorganizing the kitchen cabinets. It was her way of coping, putting things in order when everything else felt like chaos. She got home from a walk and saw black trash bags lined up outside the house. Her dresses, her books, her framed photo of her and her brother at his graduation, all shoved inside. The locks were changed. Darnell was inside, music thumping, laughter echoing. A woman Jenny had never seen before, tall, glamorous, wearing heels too high for comfort, opened the door and looked her up and down. "You don't live here anymore," she said, smirking. Then Darnell appeared behind her, not even meeting Jenny's eyes. "We're done," he said. "Papers are coming." Jenny couldn't speak. Her throat closed up. She tried to step forward, but the door slammed in her face. She sat on the front step for hours, staring at her reflection in the glossy hood of his leased BMW. He never came out. The sun was going down when Jenny finally stood up from the steps. Her legs were numb. Her fingers trembled as she tried to gather what she could from the trash bags. She didn't know where to go, didn't have a plan, didn't even have the energy to cry. All she had was a beat-up duffel bag with a few wrinkled clothes, her phone with a nearly dead battery, and the keys to a car that technically wasn't hers anymore. She drove to her cousin Shanice's apartment in Birmingham. The car's engine coughed twice before it started. She didn't remember most of the drive, just silence and streetlights. Shanice opened the door without questions, wrapped her in a long hug, and didn't say, "I told you so." That alone made Jenny crumble. For the first few weeks, Jenny barely spoke. She slept on the couch under a pile of borrowed blankets, waking up at odd hours, disoriented and sweat-drenched. Shanice worked nights and tried not to hover. But some mornings, Jenny would find post-it notes stuck to the fridge. "You're not a burden. Rest. There's leftover stew. Heat it up. You still matter." Jenny kept the notes folded in her wallet like prayers. She tried to call Darnell once, twice, 10 times. Voicemail, straight to it. Then she tried his mother. A clipped, impersonal voice answered. Double quotes. "Ms. May, it's Jenny. I need to talk to him. Just a conversation, please." A long pause. "You should let him move on, baby," his mother said. The line went dead. She reached out to his son, a text. "Hope you're okay. I'm here if you need anything." Hours passed. Then came the reply. "He's happy now. Just let him live his life." That one hit deeper than expected. Jenny stared at the screen until the letters blurred, her chest tight and hollow at once. Darnell had always been flawed. He had mood swings, pride that made him impossible sometimes. But the man she knew, the man she loved, would never have shut her out like that. He would never have tossed her away like last season's shoes, would he? The truth started sinking in like slow poison. He had changed. Or maybe he had always been this man, and the poverty had kept his ego caged. The money hadn't turned him into something else. It had simply unlocked the parts he'd hidden. Word got around fast. Atlanta wasn't as big as it seemed. A friend from the hospital texted one day, "He's out here acting like a rapper. Nightclubs, bottle service, women. No one even knows where he's living now." Jenny deleted the message. Another friend messaged, "Girl, you better lawyer up." She ignored that one too. She didn't want a fight. She didn't want revenge. She wanted to go back in time. Back to the mornings he brought her coffee in bed. Back to when their dreams were small and simple. Her godmother in Memphis let her crash on a spare mattress on the floor. Jenny floated between cities, too embarrassed to go back to Atlanta, too tired to think about the future. She took odd jobs where she could, sweeping hair at salons, cleaning offices at night, manning the register at a 24-hour gas station on weekends. She didn't need the money, she needed motion. Something to remind her she still existed. Her body moved, her mind stayed stuck. She started losing weight, her skin dulled. She stopped responding to texts, then stopped checking her phone altogether. She cried at night into a pillow so no one would hear. But the worst pain wasn't being abandoned, it was realizing no one was coming for her. No apology, no call, no justice. Everyone who had smiled in her face at their wedding had vanished. Friends she had helped when their lights got cut off, gone. Family members who once begged her for favors now posted pictures at Darnell's new pool, sipping drinks under string lights, pretending she had never existed. She was a ghost. One night, while staying in Memphis, Jenny sat on the bathroom floor holding a towel like it could anchor her. She didn't know what day it was. She didn't care. Her brother, Marcus, called. She let it go to voicemail. He called again and again. She finally picked up on the fourth ring, voice barely above. A whisper. "Hey," he said, cautiously. "I heard." Jenny said nothing. "I'm sorry, Jen. I should have called sooner. I didn't know it got this bad." Still, silence. Then, "Remember that wedding day? At the courthouse?" Jenny blinked. "Why are you bringing that up? You remember what we signed, right? That paper I drew up." She froze. The prenup. She had completely forgotten. Jenny didn't answer right away. Her brother's voice echoed in her mind, even after the call had ended. "Remember what we signed?" That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay on the couch at her godmother's place, eyes open in the dark, watching the shadows crawl across the ceiling like memories. Every word, every fight, every promise Darnell ever made looped in her head. Their laughter on that courthouse step, the smell of grits and bacon he used to make after her overnight shifts, the scratch of a pen on cheap paper in a corner store when he said, "If I ever get rich, it's only because you helped me." It felt like a fairy tale she had imagined. But at WASN, single quotes D. There had been a document, a real legal promise, however. Amateur it looked, a promise Darnell had made freely. One she had clung to not because she expected the worst, but because she knew better than to believe in forever without something solid to stand on. The next morning, Jenny searched for the only box she hadn't opened since leaving Atlanta. It was old, water-stained, duct-taped on both sides, and tucked under her cousin's bed. Inside, a tangled pile of her old life, a faded t-shirt from their honeymoon in Savannah, a cracked photo frame, her nursing school certificate, and there, at the very bottom, folded 4 times and yellowing at the edges, was the paper. 2 pages, handwritten in neat block letters. Her brother's handwriting. Jenny unfolded it carefully. There, in black ink, was exactly what she remembered. In the event of financial gain by Darnell Jones, through lottery, inheritance, or other unexpected windfall, and in the event of divorce, 100% of said gain shall become the legal property of Jennifer Louise Jones, signed, dated, Nota RIZED. Jenny sat in silence for a long time, not angry, not triumphant, just stunned. All this time, she had been grieving a life lost, when a small, stubborn piece of it had been quietly waiting for her to remember who she was. Marcus picked up on the first ring. "You found it?" he asked. "I did. Told you." She paused. "It's been years. Does it even hold?" Contracts don't expire because time passed, especially not when they're signed and notarized. You need a lawyer. "I can't afford a lawyer," Marcus exhaled on the other end. "Then you find one who works on contingency. Trust me with what's at stake. Someone will take the case." 3 days later, Jenny sat in a modest downtown office in Memphis with a man named Vernon Tate, an older attorney with a coffee-stained tie and the kind of patience that made her feel like she wasn't wasting his time. He read the document 3 times. Then he leaned back in his chair and nodded slowly. "It's ironclad," he said. Jenny swallowed. "You're sure?" "Ms. Lewis-Jones, I've seen prenups scribbled on napkins that had more loopholes than a fishing net. But this is clean, specific, signed and notarized. If he tries to fight this, he'll lose. In fact, if what you've told me is true, you're entitled to every cent of that lottery money." Jenny stared at the man, half expecting him to laugh and say, "Just kidding." "He didn't, and you'd take the case?" she asked. "I'll file tomorrow. No charge unless we win." Jenny nodded, her throat tight, not because she wanted the money, but because, for the first time in months, someone believed her story. Word reached Darnell fast. The moment he was served, he called. The first time he'd reached out since he kicked her out. Jenny didn't answer. Then came the texts. "You're really doing this? That was years ago. It doesn't mean anything now. You're not gonna win. Don't be petty. Just let me live. This is my money." Jenny. She didn't respond. She saved every message and forwarded them to Vernon. The next week, Darnell posted a video on Instagram in a hot tub with two women, captioned, "Let the haters hate. God knows my heart." Jenny didn't watch it. The court hearing was quick. Darnell arrived in a tailored suit, acting like he was walking into a boardroom. Jenny showed up in the same shoes she'd worn to her nursing shifts, shoulders square, eyes steady. The judge reviewed the paperwork, asked a few questions, then set the document on the bench. "This contract is valid," he said. "The terms are clear. Mr. Jones, you signed this of your own free will." Darnell started to protest. "But that was, did you or did you not sign this agreement?" He hesitated. "Yeah, but I didn't think." The judge cut him off. "Doesn't matter what you thought, it's enforceable. Full transfer of assets to Mrs. Lewis-Jones, effective immediately." When the ruling was final, Jenny didn't celebrate. She didn't cry either. She simply nodded, thanked the judge, and followed Vernon out of the courtroom. "Do you feel good?" he asked. Once they reached the steps, Jenny looked out across the street, watching a couple holding hands, a child skipping beside them, a world still spinning like nothing had changed. "No," she said, "not good." "What then?" "Relieved," she whispered, "like I can finally breathe again." Vernon nodded. "Sometimes that's enough." The money hit her account 2 days later. Jenny stared at the app on her phone for almost an hour, sitting on her cousin's twin bed, back propped against a pillow that still smelled like lavender and old detergent. She didn't call anyone, didn't post anything, didn't even tell Marcus right away. She sat there, watching the numbers glow on the screen, and whispered to herself, "I'm done chasing what's already mine." Jenny didn't move fast after the court ruling. There was no shopping spree, no island getaway, no dramatic haircut. Instead, she packed her few belongings in the back seat of her cousin's car, folded the letter from the court into a worn envelope, and drove south until the roads got quiet and the signs turned rural. She settled in a small town outside Savannah, the kind of place with 2 grocery stores, 1 post office, and neighbors who waved without asking questions. The house she bought was old but sturdy, white-painted wood, a sagging porch, and a yard tangled with weeds. It sat on the edge of a gravel road that dead-ended into forest. Perfect. Jenny didn't tell anyone how much money she had. She paid for the house in cash. She opened new accounts, closed the old ones, changed her number, and disappeared from the digital noise. The silence was strange at first. No buzzing phone, no shift schedules, no one needing anything from her. The quiet scared her, until it started to heal her. She spent her first month ripping out weeds and turning the rocky yard into soil worth planting in. She bought seeds, tomatoes, peppers, collard greens, cucumbers, things her mama used to grow behind their apartment back when they still had a backyard. Each morning, she woke with the sun, made herself coffee, and walked barefoot through her little plot of land. Dirt under her fingernails felt like truth. Jenny didn't live like a millionaire. She drove a used Toyota, bought clothes in town, went to the same church every Sunday and sat in the back pew. She made a list of everyone who had helped her, friends, family, co-workers, and sent anonymous envelopes with cash and thank you notes. No return addresses, no explanations, just closure. When she passed the hospital where she used to work, she dropped off a donation to cover new wheelchairs for the long-term care wing. She told the receptionist it was from someone who remembers. She didn't want a plaque. She didn't want her name on anything. She just wanted peace. One evening, she got a call from her old neighbor in Atlanta, the only one who still reached out sometimes. You know he lost it all, right? Jenny was standing barefoot in her kitchen, watering a basil plant by the window. Who? She asked, though she already knew. Darnell. Gone. All of it. The house, the cars, that girl he was with. She left. His phone's off. His Instagram's wiped. Word is, he's back at his mama's, sleeping on the same couch he used to. Jenny didn't respond right away. You okay? The neighbor asked. I'm fine. You want to know more? No, she said softly. I don't need to know. Anything else? Darnell never called. Not to apologize. Not to ask for help. Not even to say her name. Jenny didn't expect him to. People like him never looked back. And even if they did, it was only to blame the mirror. Sometimes Jenny still thought about the woman he'd chosen over her. The heels. The smug smile. The laughter behind the door the night she was left on the porch with her life in trash bags. She didn't hate the woman. Didn't even blame her. They were all just part of the same illusion. The glitter that fades when the spotlight moves on. The town grew used to Jenny. The cashier at the grocery store smiled when she walked in. The old man next door brought her extra mulch one day and asked if she wanted help lifting the bags. The children from the street over started riding their bikes past her driveway, waving as she trimmed the hedges. No one asked about her past. No one treated her like a curiosity. And Jenny never offered up the story. It was hers to keep. One spring afternoon, after planting a row of marigolds by the fence, Jenny made a cup of sweet tea and sat in the garden. The sun was low. Cicadas buzzed. In the trees, the air smelled like soil and citrus and quiet victory. She thought about all the years she had spent holding other people up, sacrificing, worrying, hustling, all the dreams she'd postponed, all the apologies she'd never received. And then she looked around, a porch that didn't belong to anyone else, a home that wouldn't be taken from her, a future she didn't need to beg for. She had lost almost everything, but in the end, she walked away with something money couldn't measure: her peace, her dignity, and a life that, at last, was hers. If you made it to the end, comment the word resilient, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with friends and family.